Usually I don't like to get into semantic arguments, but I was reading a blog post while we were writing this chapter. I can't even remember when, but the blogger was Eric Peterson, who is the co-founder of something called the Analysis Exchange. And first of all, I have to give an aside. It's a great resource. It pairs corporate analytics geeks as volunteers to nonprofits. And I have referred so many nonprofits there, and they all come back happy. So if you're a nonprofit and you should be using Google Analytics, you don't know quite how to set it up, they can find a great volunteer to help you. So anyway, he had written this whole blog post basically saying, well, you could be, if you're data-driven, you could be driven by your data, but it could be the wrong data, or you could be asking the wrong questions, and it could lead you astray. So what you really want to do is be data-informed, where you're collecting the right information and you're bringing your wisdom to analyzing it, not just, wow, all this data. The short answer to that, relationships with your stakeholders and whether or not you're engaging them will help your organization reach its goals, like raising money, getting more volunteers, getting legislations passed, whatever behavior change, whatever that is. And too often we kind of dismiss these soft kinds of outcomes, but Katie kept on reminding me throughout writing the book that you become what you measure. So it's really important to pay attention to both relationships and engagements. And in the book, we give a simple methodology for measuring both. For engagement, it's sort of thinking about what are the low, medium, and high activities around engagement. It might be something like a like is a lower level of engagement than actually writing a comment on your Facebook wall or sharing it with someone else. So it's figuring out what are the different, we call it the ladder of engagement, what are the different stages from low to high engagement, and measuring along the ladder of engagement. For relationships, it's basically a simple survey that helps you figure out how your stakeholders perceive you and the health of your relationships. And in the book, we give an example of the types of questions and a methodology for applying the survey. And I also want to say that particular chapter, I was always the person coming back and saying, I don't know if an organization would do an entire annual survey on their relationship. What if it's a small organization? And Katie was so great. Well, then just take one or two questions and sneak them into a survey you're doing anyway. That's a great question, because once you start measuring it, you become what you measure. So once you start understanding, do people trust us? Or do people think we're dependable? Then you get the truth, and you start to work on those things as part of your strategy. We have a whole chapter that is titled "Don't Confuse Activity with Results Defining Success." And so there's different ways that you can measure success. In the business world, many use ROI, return on investment, and we have an example of that methodology. But in the social change sector, we talk a lot about the theory of change. And it's thinking about your big, hairy social change outcomes, and then thinking about all the intermediate steps leading up to it. And then that way, once you do that, you can start to connect, why are you using Facebook? To change people's behavior, let's say you're an environmental organization, from not buying a bottle of water to actually using a water bottle. Then you can actually clearly see it. And then you actually measure along the theory of change. This is going to be a very disappointing answer for people, but there's so many different measurement tools out there, and being a geek, we all love that. And you can actually make a whole career playing with the tools and not accomplish anything. The tools do different things. So in the book, we group them into different categories. So you have surveys. Oh yeah, surveys. Surveys are really good measurement tools. Content analysis, and then analytics. And we tend to lean on the analytics tools because we have Google Analytics and it's free, and we tend to think analytics are the only type of measurement tool, but they're not. I think the best absolute best measurement tool is your spreadsheet. Become a spreadsheet ninja, because I used to think that if I had this really fancy analytics tool, I could just push a button and it would analyze everything for me, but a lot of them give you more data than you actually need, and you probably need data from different sources, not just one, and that's where the spreadsheet comes into play, and that's why I think that is the best tool ever. It's the Swiss Army knife of measurement tools.